find the local publications and start writing a column for that publication. Don't ask for money. Do it for free to build your credibility up. Use that as a leverageable asset to then attempt to get in with Forbes, Esquire magazine, and potentially in different niches.
Microphone check, 1, 2, what is this?
You're now listening to a brand new episode of the Play Big Faster podcast.
Look what you done started. Let's go.
Welcome to another episode of the Play Big Faster podcast. We're joined today by Mitch Carson. Mitch is an expert on getting you interviewed with the major media. And one thing about Mitch, he has interviewed and mentored CEOs, speakers, authors, consultants, and coaches. And for what purpose? Just to really share their message and business objective on an international level. So Mitch, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I feel very privileged to be here.
Anytime I have an internationally known and locally respected expert in the field of media on the show, we are more than glad to have you here.
I'm glad, and I'm just still waiting for my sweet tea from a Southern lady like you, but okay, we'll continue.
Yeah, so tell us, how did you get started?
I got involved in media years ago by accident, and what I mean by that is there was something called 9/11 that came around. In the publicity side, I got into later. My media background goes back to 1996 when I worked as a pitchman on Home Shopping Network, which is a live television show where you sell products to a live audience. And it's very sales focused, new product every 15 minutes that you're pitching, talking about the benefits. That gave me a very good background on how to sell products and create benefits with combining the features. Then in 2001, 9/11 occurred, and I pitched products on Home Shopping Network for about 3 years. Then in 2001, and I always owned an ad agency, so I was super involved in creating hooks and presentations and sizzle around different products for clients. I was walking up my stairs on that sad day in our history, and I saw a toilet paper roll with the 1040 IRS form printed on the outside, something we had created for some clients a long time before. And I thought, you know what? It would be ideal if I could place Osama bin Laden's face right there to wipe out terrorism and put his face exactly where it belongs, on my butt, and specifically my butthole. And I thought this is the perfect opportunity to give back to the American Red Cross by sending them any profits that I would earn. And I hired a publicist, and I came up with a whole line of anti-Bin Laden. I had the devil chasing him with a pitchfork on T-shirts. I came up with a line of targets with his face on it. All these different promotional items around Osama bin Laden and him being the devil, pretty much, by our Christian standards. And I hired a publicist to help me with this initiative. And it changed my life and understanding of how effective media can be when there is a blip, there's a major change in what's going on in our life. When AI came around 2 years ago, when it was brand new, ChatGPT, I jumped on that bandwagon because I had learned the lesson of piggybacking on news, high caliber news, very emotional, game-changing news. 9/11 was a huge event. It was not a fad. It was a huge event, which forever changed the world. TSA came into existence. A lot of things happened after 9/11. So I hired this publicist, and she got me covered on news channels all around the world. Over 200 pieces of media interviewed me. Changed my life. My business took off very quickly. The phones were ringing off the hook for all this merchandise that I put together, and it lasted 6 weeks. Exactly 6 weeks. After 6 weeks, boom, the bottom fell out. There were no more sales. I was stuck with all this inventory. Couldn't get rid of it. It's like everybody, American people, I'd say people around the world, they forget fast. They move on. They heal and move forward. That's human. I think that's a human trait or human defense mechanism. They just all of a sudden stopped. 9/11 was there. There were still victims that were ongoing, the litigation, et cetera. But the human interest, the American interest in buying this and going against Osama bin Laden went out the window. It's like it was over. Changed. Then that shifted to something else. That's the fickleness of American society. What did I learn from this? You must act fast. When there's news and you snooze, you lose. Ooh, I just said a good one. If you snooze, you lose. Oh, wait. If you snooze, you lose. And okay, yeah, I said snooze. That was good. You snooze on the snooze on the news, you lose. Okay. Oh, I just came up with one. All right. You snooze on the news, you lose. Yeah. And that's what some people do. I didn't in this particular situation. That opened up my eyes to the power of one-to-many selling, because essentially that's what it is when you leverage media. It's one-to-many. It's not one-to-one. This is one-to-many worldwide. I had orders that came in worldwide. I got interviewed worldwide because I piggybacked, which is called newsjacking, is the more contemporary term at that time, and I garnered lots of attention. And this is something I've shared with clients over the years, and that's shaped what I do today. When I get involved with people, we were talking about a business coach earlier. I'm going to echo exactly what you were told by this business coach. Got to write a book if you want to be unique in your market. Got to leverage media if you want to be unique in your market. And it's some different forms. I'm a big fan of traditional media because it has the highest credibility, meaning network television, CNN, ABC, CBS, NBC, the CW, Fox. Those are all big channels. I'm not mentioning them in any particular order, no political affiliation, only the impact that they provide us if you are covered on those news channels, either on a regional or national basis.
So let's unpack that because that was,
Sure.
yeah, that was
That
so
was a lot.
good. But it was so good. And what you mentioned about everything being over in 6 weeks. If I were an entrepreneur and I'm trying to get noticed, gain more credibility in the marketplace, where do I start? I may or may not have a budget for a publicist, but if I was looking to minimally get started and have an ongoing plan or campaign that would go beyond just maybe a 6 week fandom, what would that look like?
Okay. In my particular case, I was already fairly successful and I had cash to hire a publicist. So I spent good money and it paid off in even bigger dividends for me on multiple levels for years forward. What I would suggest to somebody that's on a limited budget is you start small. We crawl before we walk. We play little league before we play high school baseball, before we then try to get into the major leagues. It's an ascension model. Same holds true with your own publicity and building your personal brand or business brand. You start small. You start checking the right boxes and you do it inexpensively. So then when big media comes in, which you have to be set up in order to accept, got to have systems in place before you can handle the onslaught of media. I had systems in place. So I had a staff. I had all these things. Had I been a solopreneur, I could have never handled the press. I was set up and ready. So for the small person, let's get you set up and ready. Number one, if you are a business service, if you're an attorney, you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, even if you're a locksmith, get your business page tight. That could be your website. You also need your LinkedIn page tight. Have it written up to all-star status, and there are steps. I don't have time in this brief interview to go through all of it, but LinkedIn is important. If you are public, today everything is video. Your YouTube channel also needs to be tight. Those are free platforms that I just mentioned. You can get your website built very inexpensively. You can go to a place like Fiverr or some of the others, and you can hire an overseas person to build these things. You're $100 in. If you haven't got $100 to spend to position yourself correctly, you shouldn't be in business. Go back to being an employee. Okay. Got to have a little cash in order to make this happen. There's no money needed for a LinkedIn profile, and there's no money needed for your YouTube channel. If you want to hire professionals, which I recommend for certain areas, unless you are a do-it-yourselfer, most of us aren't. I hire professionals. I pay a dentist. I don't go to YouTube to learn how to drill my teeth. I pay professionals. When I need a lawyer, I'll go to you if I have a matter. I pay for performance. I pay for expertise. But some of these things you can do on your own. You can set up your own YouTube channel. You can set up, there's enough information out there to do at least a competent job getting those bases covered. Because one of the most important things to realize and be honest with, everybody gets Google today. It is a verb. Google, I will Google you. That's a verb. Before you would go out on a date with somebody or you do business with somebody, they're going to Google you, whether you like it or not. And it feels, ooh, it is what it is. We get Googled, and be prepared to know how you are perceived by the world, because that is directly correlated to the value of your brand. How others perceive you and talk about you when you're not in the room is exactly what you're worth in the marketplace.
So, if someone does have the finances to work with a publicist, what are some of the tips that you would give them before they approach a publicist? Because it's one thing to know that you need assistance, but I think you should also be knowledgeable about what it is that you're asking for so that you make sure that you get the result that you need.
Yeah, I'm a publicist for speakers, authors, and CEOs in Las Vegas. It's where I live. This is where I guarantee people to get on television. What advice I just shared, I share with my clients. Before you invest with me, because I'm a guaranteed service and I get them on TV, let's get your socials in order first. I won't accept your investment unless you're ready to receive the benefits of what media will do for you. You're wasting money. Why put water in a bucket with holes in it? Let's fix these holes. And the first is you got to have your LinkedIn. You got to have some way to receive the leads when people come in. Got to have some kind of a gift to incentivize. We in the marketing world call it a lead magnet. What is it that you offer will get people or compel them to want to get in touch with you? What is it that you didn't cover in the media that you can cover if they get in touch with you? We go through this process. Also, are you prepared for media? Can you speak in sound bites? Or are you going to run off at the mouth and talk too much when God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth? You might have 4 mouths. Be quiet. Know when to stop talking and let the trained journalist, who's a trained professional, guide you through the interview process. You don't need to impress. If you've done Toastmasters, great. That's not the answer. You need to listen. It's a different platform than podcasting. Very different. We don't have, these are recorded. If you're on live TV, you cannot run at the mouth. You need to listen, answer the question, and let the journalist, the anchor, take you through the process. Hosts know their profession. They're paid professionals that are usually master's degree in journalism or they've been to journalist school. They've been to TV school. They've gone on and studied. They've understudied. They've been an apprentice before the lights turn on. Let them guide you.
So, am I only working on getting media appearances when I have something to sell? Or is it an ongoing process, even if I don't have a special promotion or campaign?
Here's the difference. All right, I'm going to say you're an attorney, correct?
Yes.
All right. All right. Las Vegas is littered with billboards here. I don't know if you've been to the city. Littered with billboards with lawyers. There are more accidents here because it's a 24/7 city. People get into accidents and the insurance rates are very high because of the drinking and the gambling, and people do all this. So lawyers are everywhere. They're prolific. They make a lot of money. They invest in billboards everywhere, and they're ready to take you on. So you've got to be prepared. And they are marketing constantly because you have to be out there and present. So when people ask me, Mitch, when should I stop publicizing my business or service? Never. When you die, you can please stop. Don't spend any more money. Don't put it in your will to continue your brand. It's over. But between now and then, you never stop. Marketing is endless unless you don't like new, fresh clients that are willing to pay you premium prices.
So, let's talk a little bit about the systems that you recommend that people put in place, because I know that it's super important to have bodies working with you, maybe an
Yeah.
assistant. But what are some of the most pressing systems that entrepreneurs would need to start working on to start getting notice and making sure that they can deliver when they do get an onslaught of new clients?
Well, a few things. One, they've got to have the socials to support their claim as being an expert or competent in their field.
Social proof.
And
Yeah.
social proof is there. You need to have testimonials in place of satisfied clients. And I'm talking video testimonials that are very clear, that tie to the benefit of using you versus Joe Blow next door, or it could be Judy Smith or whomever. But you have to have all the elements in place. Personal website is good, or business website. Develop without any broken links. It's advisable to have a way to capture their email addresses. Give a free download of free ebook, or free checklist. 7 mistakes you need to avoid. All these lead magnets need to be tested. Find which one will compel people to offer their information in exchange for this valuable asset you're providing them. It's a give or take. It's you provide value, they're going to give you their email. And in some cases, their phone number. If there's another valuable piece and it requires a phone number, you can test that. So you have to have all these elements in place in order to start capturing that information. People say email marketing doesn't work. Poppycock. It's absolutely reliable. And the email list is your equity of your brand.
Yeah, because what happens when social media goes away, or you have someone who acquires a social media site and then starts using it for their own personal? There are so many examples of how things can go wrong if your only platform is social media. But your email list, you own that. You
Yes.
control that.
Yeah, I can delist us anytime they want. It's their platform. Same with Facebook. Marky Zuckerberg can wake up one day and say, doesn't like Mitch Carson. Let's cut him off. What am I going to do? I can't even get past his bodyguards. How am I going to ask Marky, hey, Marky, you just cut me off. My life is ruined. He's going to say tough beans. He doesn't know me. You can't get to Marky. You can't get to customer service. There's no live person. They might get, it's very challenging to deal with those big companies. And the whole goal is to use it until you can get them off that platform into your personal membership site, your own website, what have you. You're vulnerable, very vulnerable with those platforms,
You
but
do,
use them wisely.
yeah, you definitely have to be platform agnostic when you're an entrepreneur
100%.
because things change. Twitter was all the rage, and then TikTok came out. You had Facebook and then Instagram, and then they purchased Instagram.
MySpace.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. MySpace. Who even thinks
Yeah.
of MySpace now? But yeah, MySpace. Other apps like Tumblr and things that have gone with the way of the dinosaur.
Squidoo. Squidoo is another one I used to use.
Okay, and see, I never even knew about that one. Mitch,
Yeah.
you're educating us on Playback Faster podcast.
Or I'm aging myself. One of the two. Maybe I'm both.
No, this is some good stuff. And so, yeah, you have to have something that you own that's yours that you can monetize.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So those are some of the things you have to be set up for. You have to be ready. Get ready to be ready, or be ready to get ready, I guess would be the proper. Yeah. Have all this set up to capture the information when it comes in. If you just want to go do it for an ego stroke to say you've been on TV, okay, but you're blowing it, Jack. Yeah, that's a real opportunity. And then what to do with it after, that's a different conversation, a long conversation. And it's valuable. It's the highest form of media. And do a lot of podcast interviews. Be a guest on podcasts, just like I'm a guest on yours. You never know until you're going to sign up and utilize your service.
So, Mitch, you've given us so many great nuggets, but if you had just one piece of advice for entrepreneurs on how to play big faster with the media game, what would it be?
Start small, get ready. And I would say to play in the media backyard very easily. You have a local newspaper wherever you are in the US. I would imagine most of our listeners will be American like us. Find the local publications and start writing a column for that publication. Don't ask for money. Do it for free to build your credibility up. Use that as a leverageable asset to then attempt to get in with Forbes, Esquire magazine, Entrepreneur magazine, all of the bigger ones, and potentially in different niches. I don't know all the magazines in each niche, but those are great resources. And a start with your local newspaper.
This has been great, but there are so many people that are listening who want to continue this conversation. What is the best way to contact you?
getinterviewedguaranteed.com/meet with Mitch. That's the direct link to schedule an appointment with me to see if media is for you. And we'll have a brief chat. Just that simple. Will I pitch you? Only if you qualify. And if you don't, I'll tell you what you need to do. So it's a no obligation call, just to chat with you about what it'll do in order to elevate yourself to the next level.
Love it. So, Mitch, thanks so much for being with us on the podcast. And if you're listening out there and you have a desire to get noticed or to be featured in a major publication or just to get the ball rolling, definitely contact Mitch.
Thanks for having me.
And everyone else, until next time, play big faster.
Thanks for listening to this episode, and remember to play big faster.